Hi and welcome to Ida and her books. I'm Ida and these are my books. Today I will be doing my part 2 of the Harry Potter rating series. It's not really a series. I made a video this summer where I rated the 7 Harry Potter books according to how I like them, from best to worst, worst to best. And I said that I would be rereading the books during the fall, which I've done now. I finished the last book yesterday, which is 31st of December, and so I'm gonna remake that video. So I will be watching my old video to see how I rated the books then, and I will tell you my new rating and yeah, discuss a little bit why I think the way I do and why I've changed, if I've changed anything. I actually don't know, I haven't watched it in a while. So that is what I'm gonna do now. The worst book according to me is still Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and this is I still agree with everything I said in the previous video. When I read it the first time, I find it incredibly boring because I think I just didn't understand what's going on. Now rereading it, it is so much drama. There's so much drama in the love department, and if you watched some of my other videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of drama in the love department. Love triangles and just people being upset about other people being in a relationship, and it's just I just get annoyed. So that is why this is still my worst book, my least liked of the Harry Potter books. I understand why this book exists, and it ties together the 5th and the 7th, and it's a lot of important things that you get to know in this book. It's just that the way it's done is... I understand that Dumbledore doesn't want to tell Harry all this stuff when he's younger, and he's also figuring out stuff as time goes. But I feel like there's parts that he didn't have to wait with. I feel like... yeah, but also like because Dumbledore knows he's gonna die soon, he has to tell Harry as much as he can, and so maybe that's why he's so adamant at giving me all the information now. But I just think it's a weirdly paced book overall. I think the plot is not as good as the other ones, and this is my least favorite of the Harry Potter books. So my 6th best book has actually changed. Now it is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and it's not by any flaw of this book, it's more that I bumped up the first book. But this is 6th place because it is one of the shortest books. It is just getting Harry's journey started, and while the story is very good and I like the characters and everything, I think that the other ones are just more enjoyable. It was fun though rereading the books and seeing all the foreshadowing and the red herrings and the with Ginny, she was mentioned so many times, and when you read it first time you're like, oh, because she's Weasley, she's Ron's brother, and she's new at the school, so of course Ron is like caring about her and Harry's noticing her and all of that. But then as well, when you find out why, and it's like yeah, I think that was a fun thing to read about and discover. Yeah, but otherwise this is just not as enjoyable as the other ones. Something I forgot to mention about the 6th book. Where did McLaggen come from? I mentioned in my previous video that from the 2nd book onwards, or basically 1st book onwards, you can notice things that J.K. Rowling planted early on that gets bigger things later in the story. But McLaggen just shows up out of nowhere in this book. Who is he? What grade is he in? Why is he such a douchebag? What happened? Where? Who? What? What? And the rest just act like it's always been there. That annoys me a lot with this book as well. 5th place is now the first Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Sorcerer's Stone? I'm so confused. Sorcerer's Stone? Yeah. So 5th place is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I bumped this up partly because of nostalgia, but also it's just so fun to reread these books and like see the beginning, and it's pure nostalgia. It's nostalgia that bumped this one up, and it's just really enjoyable. I really, really like it. So fourth on my list is still Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, and this is because so much stuff happens in this book, and it's very enjoyable. It's fun to see Harry develop as a character, grow as a character. I said in the previous video that he's moody and angry, but rereading them now, I don't think he is. He has a moment in the beginning where he's upset that no one's getting in touch with him or no one is telling him anything. And when he gets to the Grimmauld place, he insists on going to being in the Order meeting. And Molly tries to say that yes, he can go, but not Ron and Hermione. And Ron says it doesn't matter, Harry's gonna tell us everything anyway. And Harry has a moment where he thinks, no, I'm not gonna tell them anything. Because they didn't tell me anything. I'm gonna show them how it feels to be left out. And then he goes, ah, no, wait, they're my best friends. Of course I'm gonna tell them. Then it's like the only moment where he's like really, to me, unnecessarily upset or like really petty. And then later when Seamus is accusing him of being a liar because his mother reads the Daily Prophet, it's perfectly understandable for Harry to be upset because everyone is telling him he's a liar. Everyone is like being so rude, and for one of his friends to not believe him, it's just, yeah, I really don't think he's as moody and annoying as I thought before, or as he is in the movies. I think that he does a lot of great things in this book. I think it's very interesting to read, and yeah, I hate Umbridge, so that is also, she's a delight to read about because I can hate her so much. Third book on my list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This is because during this reread I really like all of the books, so I don't really have much negative to say about them, but I just feel like, I don't even know, it's quite slow. It's a lot of things going on, but it's a little bit slower than the rest, I think. It's sad that it's not at Hogwarts as much. I don't like Snape and his redemption. I think that is the worst idea J.K. Rowling had during this entire first 7 books. And I think that it was completely a waste of time because he does not deserve it. Also, I don't like the 19 years later. It's a very satisfying ending as you're listening to it, but I don't like what it represents in a lot of ways. It's the same critique I had for the Percy Jackson books. If you watch my reading blog, I have some spoilery thoughts on that as well. But in this book, every single character has to end up with another character. So not only do a lot of the people stay together with their high school sweethearts, both Ron and Hermione and Harry and Ginny, they also all have children, and they also, even Draco has a wife and a child, and like all of these characters, like everyone who didn't die has a partner and child by 19 years later, and I just think that is not realistic. Some people don't want kids, some people don't want to get married, some people get a divorce, some people have been engaged for 20 years and they're not actually married, they just live together. Some people have 5 dogs instead. It's just not everyone has a partner and child, and that is one of the most unrealistic parts of this series. And this carries over from the 6th book as well. I don't think that Harry and Ginny gets enough time together in the books to justify them being married with kids 19 years later. In the 6th book, I had to remember, they don't get together until the end of the school year, and so after her OWL exams, they spend a lot of time just by the lake, walking around, spending time together, but it gets summarized in like a few short sentences, and you don't get to like see the relationship grow as a relationship. And then in this book, they spend virtually no time at all together, and so seeing them together 19 years later, I haven't seen that relationship build to the point where I can see them being married. I just don't think it's realistic. And the same partly goes for the same kind of also goes for Ron and Hermione. I think that they fit together, I do, and I think that Ron really tries to be better I heard some critics saying that he doesn't deserve Hermione because Hermione is awesome, and yes, she is. But he really tries to be better. He really tries to be nice to her and treat her well throughout the entire 7th book. And what the thing that that annoys me with this relationship, however, is that he says that he gets a book for birthday present as a birthday present from Fred and George, which is like how to pick up girls or how to get a, I don't remember the name of it, how to get a girlfriend, something like that. And he's obviously using the tips and tricks in that book on Hermione. And part of me is like, oh, that's nice that he's really trying. Like I said, he's genuinely trying to be better. But also, I think that, I don't know how I feel about, because what if he hadn't gotten that book? Would he have never gotten together with Hermione if he hadn't gotten that book for a birthday present? It's just thanks to Fred and George that he marries Hermione. I think that is a little bit weird. I'm not sure what I think about that. But I like them together. I do. And they also, even though they spend like literally 24/7 together for this entire book, they're not actually like a couple. They just, I know they like each other and it's cute, but also like, I'm not entirely sure what I think. Now I don't remember because I had a long break from listening to audiobooks during Christmas, so I spent like 2 weeks not listening to this book, and then I finished it on New Year's Eve. But I just think that I lost my train of thought. Wait. Oh yes, I remember. Because I don't remember exactly what happened, when Ron comes back from running away, basically, he comes back after Christmas, sometime during the spring. He apologizes and he really tries to do better, and Harry forgives him right away, both for getting the sword and coming back and all of that, being regretful. But Hermione doesn't forgive him. And I'm not sure she ever does, like in the book, in the text. Because they spend all this time, she's being angry with him and just being upset, and like when they go to see Xenophilius Lovegood, she's just not having it, and then they get kidnapped to go to Malfoy Manor, and then they go to Rose Cottage, I think it's called. Shell Cottage. They go to Shell Cottage, where Bill and Fleur live, and after Malfoy Manor, so many other things happen that they never revisit the argument that they had. They never revisit Hermione's feelings about Ron coming back or leaving in the first place, and so that doesn't really get resolved. Not that Harry knows, at least, and by proxy not me as a reader. And I just think that's a thread I would have liked to see tied up. Yeah. Second favorite is Harry Potter and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I know exactly what these are called in English. I know stuff. And I bumped this up because I really like the characters. I really do. I like Cedric and I like Fleur, and she's got a lot of crap. She is a great character. I really, really like her. And Victor Crumb is a great character. I really like his relationship with Hermione. I think it's cute, even though he is 3 years older. So he is basically an adult. He's no longer a minor. And Hermione is 14, so she's really young. But the way the relationship is presented in this book is very innocent and cute, I think. But that might also be because Harry's an idiot and doesn't know what's going on behind his back. It's first in the 6th book where they find out that Hermione was making out with Crumb as well. And when you find that out, I'm like, but she's so tiny. I don't know. Like, he's a kid and he's an adult by the time he's 17, and yeah, but I think the relationship is really cute because he's like really shy and just hiding in the library looking at her because he just doesn't dare go up to her, and I think that entire thing is just really adorable. And I really like the characters, I like the story. It's a bit convoluted, and even though I knew everything beforehand, it's still a little difficult to understand. And that is my one criticism for this book, really, that finding out the truth is just an info dump at the end. I feel like it wasn't as much of a mystery where you find out bits and pieces along the way as the others, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I was really fun with the challenges, and I think Harry's relationship with Cedric and Cho Chang is weird, but it's also like he's a 14-year-old boy, he's really immature, he doesn't really know what to do with feelings. He asks Cho to go to the Yule Ball, and she says no because she's going with Cedric, and because they go to the Yule Ball they become boyfriend and girlfriend. And so Harry's really pissy about Cedric dating the girl that he likes, and so when Cedric tells him to go take a bath, he just refuses to take his advice because he is jealous and angry, and I just think that's cute that he's just I mean, it's a character flaw on Harry's part that he's just so jealous, but I think it's a little bit cute that he's so unaware of how to handle his feelings, and then yeah, he can do a lot better. I think he should do a lot better, but also he has like never been in love before and doesn't really know what to do with his feelings, and then by the 5th book, when the relationships falls apart because they're not compatible, I think that I think that relationship is cute. So I really like reading about those two, except it gets really awkward. A lot. My absolute favorite of the Harry Potter books is still Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I really enjoy it. I really like what happens in this book, because it's not a mystery in the way the others are, with like Sorcerer's Stone or Chamber of Secrets and the later books. It's just Harry just goes on with his regular life at school, thinking it's gonna be just a normal year. He just has a mass murderer after him, he thinks, and it's like he's not. I mean, part of him is like intrigued about what's going on, and he finds out a lot of stuff, but it's not like actively trying to find Sirius Black, as everyone's warning him not to, so he's not. Things just happen around him because they do, and he can't help it. And I just like the characters. I like so many things about this book. It is definitely my favorite. I can't even tell you. It is amazing. I also have some general thoughts about books I wanted to talk about. For example, that I no longer cry when people die at the same time I did before. I cry when Dobby die, because that is so sad, and I drag on for so many pages about that. But I said in my previous video that when I read it the first time I started crying when Hedwig dies in the 7th book. But I didn't cry this time. I think the first time I read it I cried out of shock, because I was not expecting Hedwig to die. But this time, like the entire first few chapters, I was just waiting for it to happen, and so I didn't cry. I was like not hyping it up, but I was expecting it for so long before it happened that I just didn't cry, I think. However, like a few scenes later, when Hagrid and Harry gets to the burrow, and Molly tells them that they're first back, and that Moody and Mandungus and some other people haven't gotten back yet, and Mr. Portkeys, then I'm like, what's gonna happen? Even though I've read the book several times, I know exactly what's gonna happen. I know who lives and who dies and everything, but that is an emotional moment because the characters are so emotional. And so that was interesting. That was an interesting thing to realize. It's really fun rereading them. They're still as good as I remember, and of course there are some things that I like more or less, and then characters who do things I didn't remember, or do things I now realize things about, and that. But they're really good. They're really enjoyable. I really like them, and I'm glad I reread them. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that reread. And I hope you like this video. What do you think about my new ranking? It didn't change that much, but a little bit. How would you rank the Harry Potter books? Leave a comment down below, tell me about it. And if you want to watch more videos from me, please subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!